Hey guys, it's Neil on the R1 channel. I'm here at Rock and Roll Paint. My man here, introduce yourself.
I'm Alex.
Alex is doing the layout for the GYTR R1, and he's got, you can see it here, he's got the belly pan, upper fairing, tank and everything else. So there you go, kind of see how it's looking. Hey, so I just got a call from the shop. The bodywork has been cleared, the decals are on, and yeah, I'm really excited to see it. It's been a few weeks now, so those guys were busy backed up. But yeah, so let's get going and let's see what everything looks like. Hey everybody, it's Neil here at the shop. Got the parts all done. My man Randy, who's in the back, has been helping me. He's a good dude. So here's kind of an example of one of the pieces. So front fender. So this is the GYTR decal set for the 2020 bike. But you can see here the quality of the clear on there. Looks really, really good. And I'm actually obviously in the shop right now. So when this thing is in the sun, it's got a lot of depth to it. So you can see decals there. So that's the front piece. Get the belly pan here. Be a little careful lifting this up. So obviously I've got to hold this guy upside down, but you kind of see how it all turned out. Looks super, super good. Hopefully you guys can see that detail on that. Looks very, very good. Super consistent. These guys here have done a nice job. Took a little while, but these guys are super busy, so I get it. The only one issue that Randy told me about was the decals on the front cowl have lifted a little bit. So what we're going to do there is just spend a little bit more time once I get them back to my shop and just kind of work on just gluing those edges down. If you guys have had bikes that you put decals on, you'll know sometimes it's super common those decals come up, especially when you wrap them around the back end of the bodywork, they start to lift. And so they're lifting now, so they're definitely going to lift over time. So we'll just address that. We'll put a nice piece of sort of lightweight glue down on that. Don't really want to use super glue because it's aggressive and it'll attack the paint. So we'll have to find something different to get that sorted out. But yeah, so really happy. I'm kind of glad that it's all done. So this is one of the last pieces. So Attack Performance is still working on the motor right now. But I think last time I spoke to Joseph, he had everything apart and the engine, basically a rolling chassis. So they're working on that. Here's one of the side panels. So you can kind of see how that looks. But it just looks super tight, super, super tight. So yeah, these guys did a nice job, and excited to get it all done. Here's the back tail section. Obviously there's no decals on that, but everything's cleared, so we're looking good. Here's the airbox cover over here, so you can kind of see that guy. Logos on it, front stripe, which is obviously the right format for this particular paint scheme. And then the other thing I did, which will be a little different than the original GYTR, which is fine. I'm going to do some other things to the bike too, which I want to get your feedback on. So as I do those things, I'll ask for feedback in the comments. But here's the full tank shroud. So that's all, obviously everything's in the same gloss, clear coat gloss. And that's about it. So we'll get it back to the shop. I'll do an extra video on me just pushing down those seams where the decals are wrapping around the back end of the bike or back end of the bodywork. So I'll see you in a bit. So back in my little den here, and I've got the parts here. So I wanted to show you guys what exactly I mean by these decals, just picking up on the other end. So here's an example of the decal that's wrapping around the underside of the bodywork. So you can see here, I did try using some super glue on the back side. Obviously you don't want to use that on the front side because it just turns the clear coat white. So I tried it, that didn't work. So I'm gonna try another approach, which a buddy of mine told me about, Matt. So here's another example from the front. You see how that is wrapping around the underside, and you can see, I think hopefully, yeah, you should be able to see that decal there. That's just kind of, what we've got to do is wrap that around and just push it down. So a friend of mine, Matt, told me about a couple of approaches. So one is to use this stuff called 5-minute epoxy. So this is like a clear epoxy that you just put on, and there's a little trick to it though. So what I have to do is use this black duct tape, do some thin strips, and then on the back side over here, I'm going to use that duct tape to just hold that strip down, and then I'm going to put the clear epoxy over the top of it. It seems like a maybe overkill, but I don't think it is, because I've had bikes before that I've done these decals on, and what happens is the wind actually gets underneath these and it starts pulling it down. Now, the ones I've done before have not had clear coat on. I just put the decals on the race bodywork, so maybe the clear coat would hold it down. I'm not sure. I don't want to take the chance and risk it and ruin this really nice paint job. So we're gonna give that a go. So what I got here is I've got this. See, I've got the black duct tape. And I apologize, but I don't have anybody helping me today, so I can't really, kind of hold it and do it. So it's just too hard. But all I did was put this strip of duct tape across that. You can see here that there's where the edge of that, and this one's actually down. Yeah, I don't know how they got that one to stick down and not the others, but you can see here that there's one that's just slightly sticking out. So I have to try and figure that out. And then there's another one right here. The more I look at it, the more I see, which is like, ah. But anyway, I got this strip on here. And then what I've done is I've folded it over. All I'm gonna do now is just cut in here. And then we're gonna start the Bondo process of putting Bondo over the top of the tape. So that's what I'm gonna go do. Hopefully it'll work. So I've got a paintbrush here. And what I'm gonna do is I've got the epoxy ready to roll. So here's that epoxy. You basically just have to snap off this piece in the middle and then snap off the end. You let the air bubbles rise to the top, insert the syringe type thing on the end, and then you're ready to go. So this thing it's about mixed halfway through this mixing chamber right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some epoxy just on the back of this packaging that it came with. And then I'm gonna lightly brush the epoxy onto the duct tape where I've got these decals down here. Let me see if I can just show everybody that. So I'm just gonna brush that epoxy onto that line right there. So I'm just gonna mix it up, get the brush on there and get it set. The epoxy I got was, let's see, it's the 60-second flow epoxy. Hopefully you guys can read that, yep. They also make a 5-minute one. I think if you're doing this kind of application, it's okay to use the 5-minute setup because there's no load on, I'm not trying to hold something together. So, but then again, they're the same price. So I suppose it doesn't really matter too much, does it? Anyway, let's get on with it. So what I definitely recommend is definitely getting the 5-minute one. So I put the 60-second one onto my little pad here, and it literally dries up too quick. So it's really hard to work with. So I definitely recommend doing the 5-minute one. So what I did in this case, because I don't want to waste it, I used the syringe and I just applied it to the edge of the tape, and then I went over it with the brush once I had it on there. So just kind of like so. Hopefully everybody can see that. So I syringed it on all the way around the edge, and then I just brushed it on over the top of it. And I guess the one thing is, if you do it like that, it sets up really fast, so that's kind of nice. And yeah, seems to be working. So I'm going to carry on, just going to do that process through the rest of the pieces on the cowl, and we should be good.